Hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you aim to accomplish something meaningful in life, you must understand that discipline is not merely an accessory to success, it is the foundation. People have this naive idea that success is some external gift, something bestowed upon a person through luck, talent, or privilege. But that is a childish fantasy. The truth is much harsher and far more demanding. Success is built brick by brick through the consistent voluntary confrontation with challenge. And that's what discipline is: the willingness to engage with difficulty, to structure your life in accordance with your highest aim rather than the whims of the present moment. People often avoid discipline because they see it as restrictive, as something that chains them to obligations they do not want to bear. But this is an inversion of reality. The absence of discipline does not bring freedom, it brings chaos, suffering, and a slow, creeping decay. If you fail to discipline yourself, something else will impose discipline upon you. The consequences of your own neglect, the entropy of life, the sheer weight of unfulfilled potential. And there is nothing more crushing than knowing you could have been more than you are. It is not enough to merely desire success. Desire is easy. Anyone can sit in a room and fantasize about a future in which they are competent, accomplished, respected. But desire without discipline is delusion. You do not get to decide your future, you get to decide your habits, your actions, your sacrifices, and those shape your future in turn. The disciplined individual understands this. They know that every small decision, the choice to wake up early instead of sleeping in, to study instead of wasting time, to work instead of complain, these are the micro battles that determine the trajectory of a life. And here's the key. Discipline is not something you impose on yourself as a form of punishment. It is the highest act of self-respect. It is the recognition that who you are today is not enough, that you have the capacity to be more, and that the only way to bridge the gap between potential and actuality is through consistent effort. Without that effort, potential remains nothing but an illusion. This is not an easy path. It requires sacrifice. It requires the painful process of restructuring yourself, of wrestling with your own impulses, of walking a path that is often lonely and demanding. But the alternative, the path of indiscipline, of neglect, of comfort pursued at the expense of growth, is infinitely worse. Because in the absence of discipline, the world disciplines you. Reality is ruthless to those who refuse to prepare for it. So the question is not whether you will suffer, the question is whether you will suffer voluntarily in the pursuit of something greater, or whether you will suffer as a consequence of failing to take responsibility. And there is no neutral ground. You are either climbing upward or sliding downward, and discipline is the rope that keeps you from the fall. That is why it is necessary, and that is why it must be cultivated not as an obligation, but as the highest and most noble act of self-governance. Discipline is the foundation of success because it provides the structure and consistency necessary to turn ambition into achievement. Many people dream of success, whether in their careers, relationships, health, or personal development. However, without discipline, these aspirations remain nothing more than fleeting desires. Success is not about a single moment of brilliance or luck. It is the result of sustained effort repeated over time in the face of challenges and distractions. At its core, discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done even when motivation fades. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes, influenced by mood, circumstances, and external factors. If someone only acts when they feel inspired, they will achieve little, because inspiration is fleeting. Discipline, on the other hand, ensures that actions are taken consistently, regardless of how one feels at any given moment. This consistency is what ultimately leads to mastery and success. Consider any field of excellence, whether in sports, business, or the arts. The most successful individuals are not those who rely on talent alone, but those who commit to disciplined practice. A world-class athlete does not train only when they feel like it. They follow a strict regimen every day, honing their skills, improving their weaknesses, and pushing past their limits. A successful entrepreneur does not build a business by working only when they are excited. They persist through setbacks, failures, and difficulties because they have disciplined habits that keep them moving forward. Discipline helps individuals overcome distractions and temptations that could derail their progress. In a world filled with endless entertainment, social media, and instant gratification, it is easy to be pulled away from meaningful work. Discipline acts as a shield, allowing individuals to stay focused on long-term goals rather than giving in to short-term pleasures. Those who lack discipline often procrastinate, make excuses, or give up when challenges arise, while disciplined individuals push forward, understanding that progress requires patience and perseverance. Discipline transforms potential into reality. Many people have talent, intelligence, or creative ideas, but without the discipline to put in the work consistently, their abilities remain undeveloped. Success is not about waiting for the right moment, it is about creating the right habits. Discipline provides the foundation upon which all achievement is built, ensuring that effort is sustained, focus is maintained, and goals are realized. Lack of discipline leads to chaos and suffering because it removes the structure necessary for stability, growth, and achievement. Many people believe that avoiding discipline grants them freedom, that by rejecting rules, schedules, and commitments, they can live a more enjoyable, unrestricted life. However, this belief is fundamentally flawed. Without discipline, life does not become freer. It becomes chaotic, unpredictable, and filled with unnecessary suffering. When discipline is absent, a person becomes controlled by their impulses rather than their purpose. They do not act according to their highest goals, but instead follow whatever feels good in the moment. This often leads to procrastination, unhealthy habits, and a lack of progress in important areas of life. Over time, small failures such as skipping work, avoiding responsibilities, or indulging in distractions accumulate into major consequences, including lost opportunities, broken relationships, and personal regret. Without discipline, a person becomes reactive rather than proactive, constantly struggling to manage problems instead of preventing them. Take financial discipline as an example. If someone lacks the discipline to save money, control spending, or invest wisely, they may enjoy short-term pleasure but will inevitably face long-term hardship. Debt, stress, and financial instability are natural consequences of undisciplined financial habits. Similarly, in health, a lack of discipline in diet and exercise may not seem harmful at first, but over time it leads to weight gain, chronic illness, and decreased quality of life. What starts as small indulgences can quickly spiral into larger, more serious issues that limit a person's freedom rather than enhance it. Relationships also suffer when discipline is lacking. Friendships, marriages, and professional relationships require effort, patience, and reliability. A person who lacks the discipline to communicate effectively, keep promises, or control their temper will struggle to maintain deep, meaningful connections. In the absence of self-control, impulsive behaviors such as dishonesty, laziness, or selfishness damage trust and create emotional turmoil. Instead of fostering strong bonds, a lack of discipline often leads to isolation and conflict. In the broader sense, an undisciplined society also descends into disorder. Rules, laws, and social norms exist to create harmony and ensure that individuals contribute to the well-being of their communities. When people reject discipline on a large scale, whether by ignoring responsibilities, breaking commitments, or avoiding hard work, society begins to break down. The decline of personal responsibility leads to increased crime, corruption, and instability. Perhaps the most profound suffering caused by a lack of discipline is internal. A person who neglects discipline does not merely face external consequences, they also suffer psychologically. There is deep frustration in knowing that one could have been more, done more, achieved more, but did not. The regret of wasted potential is one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry. Anxiety, self-doubt, and feelings of worthlessness often stem from an individual's recognition that they are not living up to their capabilities. They may blame external factors, but deep down they know that their suffering is self-inflicted. In contrast, discipline creates order, progress, and fulfillment. It allows individuals to build a stable foundation for success, ensuring that short-term sacrifices lead to long-term rewards. It grants control over one's destiny rather than leaving life to chance. By choosing discipline, a person chooses to prevent unnecessary suffering and to create a life of purpose, growth, and stability. The alternative, lack of discipline, leads inevitably to chaos, regret, and pain. Desire without discipline is meaningless because wanting something is not the same as working for it. Many people have grand ambitions. They dream of wealth, success, a great physique, or a fulfilling life. They visualize themselves at the top, admired and accomplished. But desire alone does nothing. Without discipline, the structured effort to turn aspirations into reality, these dreams remain nothing more than fantasies. People often confuse passion with progress. They assume that because they strongly want something, they are somehow entitled to it, or that their desire alone is enough to move them forward. But life does not reward wishes, it rewards effort, consistency, and sacrifice. If someone desires to be fit but refuses to exercise and eat properly, their goal will never materialize. If someone dreams of becoming a writer but never commits to the discipline of daily writing, their novel will never be written. Success in any field is the result of action, not intention. Desire by itself is effortless. Anyone can sit and daydream about success. Discipline, on the other hand, requires struggle. It demands doing the hard things, waking up early, staying focused, enduring failures, and persisting when motivation fades. Motivation is temporary. It fluctuates based on emotions and circumstances. Discipline, however, is what keeps a person moving forward even when they don't feel like it. The real difference between those who achieve and those who do not is not how much they desire something, it is how much discipline they apply to obtain it. This is why so many people fail to achieve their goals. They believe that their desire is enough and grow frustrated when success does not come. They blame circumstances, lack of opportunity, or external obstacles, but the truth is that many of their failures stem to commit to the disciplined actions required to succeed. They want the reward without the effort, the results without the process. A lack of discipline in the pursuit of desires can lead to self-deception. People tell themselves they are trying when in reality they are making minimal effort. They make plans but do not execute them, start projects but never finish, or seek shortcuts instead of enduring the necessary struggles. Over time, this creates a cycle of frustration, low self-esteem, and regret. The gap between what they want and what they are willing to work for becomes a source of internal conflict. True success requires aligning discipline with desire. When discipline is applied, dreams become goals, and goals become achievements. Hard work, persistence, and sacrifice turn what was once an abstract wish into a concrete reality. Those who understand this principle do not merely dream of success, they build it, one disciplined action at a time. Discipline is an act of self-respect because it reflects a person's commitment to their own growth, well-being, and potential. When someone disciplines themselves, they are essentially saying, I am worth the effort. My future is important enough to work for. My goals matter. Without discipline, a person drifts through life without direction, falling short of what they could be. But when someone chooses discipline, they take control of their own path and treat themselves as someone who deserves success, stability, and fulfillment. Self-respect is not just about how a person sees themselves in the present. It is about how they value their future. A person who respects themselves does not act only for short-term pleasure, but makes decisions that benefit them in the long run. They set goals and follow through even when it is difficult, because they know that their future self deserves the best version of them. A student who studies instead of wasting time respects their future career. A person who exercises and eats well respects their body. Someone who follows through on commitments respects their word and integrity. Lack of discipline, on the other hand, often leads to self-betrayal. When a person constantly gives in to distractions, procrastinates, or breaks promises to themselves, they reinforce the idea that their own goals and well-being do not matter. This slowly erodes self-confidence. Each time they avoid doing what they know they should, they send themselves the message that they are not worthy of success or capable of achieving it. Over time, this leads to frustration, self-doubt, and regret. Discipline is not punishment. It is an investment in oneself. Many people resist discipline because they see it as restrictive, as though it takes away freedom. But true freedom comes from discipline, not from indulgence. A person who has the discipline to manage their time, health, and responsibilities effectively has far more control over their life than someone who constantly acts on impulse. When a person disciplines themselves, they create options, opportunities, and stability. In contrast, a person without discipline often finds themselves trapped by poor decisions, bad habits, and missed chances. Discipline builds self-respect because it proves to a person that they are capable of overcoming challenges. Every time a person sticks to a workout routine, meets a deadline, or stays committed to a goal despite difficulties, they strengthen their belief in their own abilities. They develop resilience, confidence, and a sense of pride in themselves. This is why people who maintain discipline in their lives often feel a greater sense of purpose and self-worth. Discipline is one of the highest forms of self-care. It is a declaration that one's time, energy, and potential are valuable. It is the difference between a life of regret and a life of fulfillment. By choosing discipline, a person chooses to respect themselves, not just for today, but for the future self they are becoming. Discipline requires sacrifice, but prevents greater suffering because it demands effort and restraint in the present to avoid worse consequences in the future. Many people resist discipline because they see it as painful, restrictive, or demanding. They avoid waking up early, working hard, or delaying gratification because these actions require immediate sacrifice. However, what they fail to realize is that the absence of discipline leads to far greater suffering in the long run. Every meaningful achievement in life requires giving something up. A student who wants to succeed must sacrifice leisure time to study. An athlete must endure grueling training sessions instead of indulging in comfort. A person seeking financial stability must forego unnecessary spending and live below their means. These sacrifices may seem difficult in the moment, but they pave the way for future rewards: good grades, athletic excellence, financial freedom, and personal success. On the other hand, avoiding discipline does not eliminate hardship. It only postpones it and makes it worse. A person who refuses to study may enjoy their free time now, but they will suffer the consequences of failure later. Someone who neglects their health may enjoy eating unhealthy foods and avoiding exercise, but they will face illness, fatigue, and physical limitations in the future. The suffering caused by a lack of discipline is often more intense and long-lasting than the discomfort of making sacrifices today. Discipline is a choice between short-term discomfort and long-term suffering. The discomfort of discipline is controlled, voluntary, and purposeful. It is the pain of growth and self-improvement. The suffering that comes from avoiding discipline, however, is chaotic and beyond one's control. It is the pain of regret, missed opportunities, and wasted potential. Discipline strengthens a person's resilience and ability to handle difficulties. When someone consistently practices discipline, they build mental toughness and develop the capacity to face challenges with confidence. They learn that short-term sacrifices lead to long-term rewards, making it easier to stay committed to their goals. In contrast, a person without discipline is more likely to crumble under pressure, constantly seeking comfort at the cost of their future well-being. The question is not whether one will experience hardship, but what kind of hardship they will choose: the temporary struggle of discipline or the lifelong suffering of neglect. By embracing discipline, one takes control of their destiny, preventing unnecessary suffering and ensuring a life of purpose, achievement, and fulfillment. There is no neutral ground in self-improvement because a person is either progressing or regressing. There is no state of simply staying the same. Many people believe they can remain in a comfortable middle ground where they are neither improving nor declining. They assume that by avoiding effort, they can maintain their current position in life. However, this is an illusion. Life is constantly moving forward, and those who do not actively seek improvement will inevitably fall behind. Self-improvement is like climbing a hill. If a person is not intentionally moving upward, they are slowly sliding downward. This happens in every aspect of life: health, career, relationships, and personal development. For example, if someone stops learning and growing in their profession, they do not just remain at the same level. Others continue to advance. Technology evolves, and new skills become necessary. Over time, they become less competent and eventually obsolete. The same principle applies to physical health. If a person does not actively maintain their fitness and diet, their body does not stay the same. It declines, strength diminishes, endurance decreases, and health issues begin to arise. The idea of maintaining a neutral position is simply unrealistic because everything in life is subject to change, and without effort, that change is usually. This concept also applies to mindset and personal growth. If someone is not actively working on their discipline, resilience, and mental toughness, they are becoming weaker. Life will present challenges, and a person who has not prepared themselves through self-improvement will struggle more than someone who has. Confidence, self-esteem, and emotional stability are not static traits. They must be nurtured and developed through continuous effort. A person who stops pushing themselves toward growth may not notice the decline immediately, but over time they will find themselves less capable, more anxious, and easily overwhelmed by life's difficulties. In relationships, the absence of growth leads to deterioration. Friendships, marriages, and professional relationships require effort, communication, and adaptation. If a person assumes that their relationships will stay the same without actively investing time and energy into them, they will eventually experience distance, misunderstandings, and disconnection. Just as a garden must be tended to in order to flourish, relationships require consistent care. The reality is that time, entropy, and external circumstances are always working against stagnation. If a person is not deliberately improving, their skills dull, their habits decline, and their opportunities shrink. Self-improvement is not just about ambition or striving for success. It is about survival and relevance in an ever-changing world. The people who thrive in life understand that growth is not optional, it is necessary. The question is not whether someone wants to improve, it is whether they are willing to take responsibility for their own progress. Those who actively work on themselves gain strength, confidence, and opportunities. Those who avoid self-improvement eventually face regret, loss, and a sense of unfulfilled potential. Since life never stays still, the only real choice is whether to move forward with intention or to slide backward through neglect. There is no neutral ground. The reality of self-improvement is simple yet profound. There is no neutral ground. Every choice we make, every action we take, and every habit we build either pushes us forward or pulls us backward. There is no state of simply staying the same because life itself is in constant motion. The world evolves, challenges arise, and time moves forward whether we are ready or not. The only question is whether we will move with it intentionally or be left behind. Self-improvement is not just an option for those who seek greatness, it is a necessity for anyone who wishes to maintain even the life they currently have. The skills you rely on today will become outdated if you do not refine them. The strength you possess now will fade if you do not maintain it. The discipline you once had will weaken if you do not reinforce it. No one wakes up one day suddenly worse than they were before. Decline happens gradually through small choices that favor comfort over growth, ease over effort, and distraction over discipline. Many people believe that avoiding challenge keeps them safe, that staying in their comfort zone will allow them to preserve what they have. But in reality, stagnation is just a slow form of decline. The world does not wait for anyone. If you do not take control of your progress, external forces, competition, change, and time itself will push you further and further behind. What was once familiar and stable will slip away, and you will find yourself in a position far worse than before. Success, strength, and fulfillment are not given, they are earned. They come to those who refuse to accept stagnation, who understand that growth is a lifelong commitment, and who take action even when it is difficult. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who waited for the perfect moment to start, they are the ones who started and refused to stop. So the question remains, which path will you choose? Because in the end, there is no neutral ground.